Hi, Jenny here. Today we are going to make a dessert slash snack that is synonymous with summer. We are going to make some strawberry shortcake. So let's get started. For this recipe we are going to need 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 3 cups of flour, 4 teaspoons baking powder, 2 tablespoons sugar, 3/4 cup milk, strawberries, and whipped cream. In a large bowl we will go ahead and combine our flour, salt, baking powder, sugar, and milk. And we'll just get that all well mixed together. So we'll start with the dry ingredients and then we'll go ahead and add the milk and get that mixed in. But first we'll mix these together. So we have our 1.5 salt. Got some larger chunks in here. I keep trying to shake it and break them down, but every once in a while I still have something come out. And I think I saw this. Part of the cardboard packaging. There we go. Don't need any extra goofy stuff in there. Alright, our 4 teaspoons of the baking powder. It's very nice that these containers have that nice little lip on there that you can scrape it off and make sure that they're your teaspoons or whatever are even, your measurements are even. So that's good. Flour. I like to have my flour in a container. It makes it easier for me for scooping. When it's in the bag, sometimes it's hard to get your spoon in there and scoop it out, and I get flour all over the place. Granted, I might get flour all over the place doing this too, you never know. That's kind of my thing of when I'm cooking too, is sloppy cooking, because something goes spilling or jumping out of the container all over the counter or whatever. It just happens. Real life. Keep saying this is kind of showing real life cooking. That was 1, right? That's 2. I figured, I'm talking, I'm like, will I remember what I'm counting? Will I? Oh, multitasking. All right, 3. So first, let's mix this together. I have never made my own shortcakes. I don't even know if I've made my own biscuits. I usually buy biscuits from the store already in the container that you have to pop open. You say with that, the adult scary toy, the equivalent of the, what do you call it, the Jack in the Box, where you turn it and then it springs open and scares you. And the adult version is the, like Pillsbury biscuits and whatever you get at the store, and you have to crease the, put a pressure in the crease so that you can turn it, it pops open. Okay, we'll go ahead and add our milk. And just stir this together until it's a nice wettish dough. You don't want it overly wet. And you can add more flour to dry it out a little bit. Just don't want it too dry. Some of the things I was reading was that you can make this recipe with biscuits. So again, obviously you could do this all store-bought too. If you want the shortcut version, you buy the little shortcakes at the store and the strawberries and all. You just have to cut the strawberries and put the whipped cream on there. I'm taking one shortcut here. I'm using store-bought whipped cream. I thought about making my own, and then I didn't know if it would kind of be fluffy enough to be able to hold up for this. I have made my own whipping cream before. But with this one, that's a 2. I usually prefer Cool Whip, but I also thought Cool Whip sometimes isn't as fluffy as the Redi Whip. So we'll try it this way this time. So again, you have options. If you've followed my channel at all, have seen my recipes, you know I like options. So you figure it's always good to have. You can figure stuff out when you look at a recipe and say, hey, can I make that or not? What do I have in my house? Do I have ingredients that are like that are similar? Oh, I was stirring something yesterday. My arm was getting tired. I'm like, I made some more of my carrot tuna salad. So I made that the other day and I thought that was really good. So this weekend for the grocery list, I added more tuna. I had carrots in the house, so I just added some tuna to the list. So I had some leftover green pepper from the other one that I made. This is not as wet as I would like it. It's still very, very dry. It's not coming together as like one big dough ball. So I think I'm going to add a little bit more milk. We'll go by like tablespoonish full, and again, you don't want to add too much because it can get too much just like that. So let me grab my milk. Okay. Let me just add a full gallon. So hopefully I can pour it slowly enough. There we go. I'll leave my flour out just in case, but I think I'm also going to use my hands. As Elton Brown would say, these are the best 2 tools that God has given us. Let's see if this will, yeah, then there we go. It's on the floor. Some jumped out of the bowl. It just wouldn't be one of my recipes if that didn't happen, I guess. There we go. That is. It's coming together better. So you could make your own biscuits. You can make your own shortcakes like this. You can use store-bought biscuits. You could use store-bought shortcake. Sometimes it's always nice to just, and sometimes always, sometimes it's nice to make your own stuff at home. Make it homemade. Right. It's always great to have that option of being able to buy whatever already made at the store, so it's fast and easy if you don't have the time or energy. But if you do have some time, homemade is always good. All right. I got most of the sticking together, but just a little bit not. So I'm going to add a tiny bit more milk. I think again I'm going to use the measuring spoon just so I don't add too much, but we'll go with like half a tablespoon. This again is also a good recipe that you can just mix it up by hand. You don't need to get your whole mixer out for it. Dirty that all up. I just have a bowl. Okay. So now we pretty much have a good softball size. A lot bigger than a softball, but dough that's sticking together. So that should be a good consistency. So now we will get our baking pan and we'll divide this all up into individual sizes. Preheat your oven to 450 degrees, and then on a baking sheet, if you like, I think it'd be easier, put a piece of parchment paper on there. The recipe I had said drop these by tablespoonful onto a cookie sheet. I have seen some recipes where they said if you have, I think they're like 4-inch round rings, that you can place those on your baking sheet and put the dough inside there, and then they would spread out and conform to the circle. I don't have those, so I think I will just try to divide the dough in half, and in half, and maybe in half. A lot of recipes I saw had, there were about 9 servings. So it seemed that would be about right for this. So maybe I'll make 8. My instructions also say depending on how big your shortcake is will depend on how long they'll take to cook. So we do make these all pretty uniform in size. It should still take about the same amount of time. So we'll make them a little bit round, squish them down a little bit. Make sure we can fit 4 on each side. And I will offset them. So again, the batter, this dough is not so wet, it's not really sticking to my hand, it's not really leaving any pieces. It is sticking together well, it's not crumbling apart in my hands. So again, you put enough milk on there, milk in the recipe that will help form it to this consistency. We'll spread them out, put them a little bit uneven. I don't think that they spread too much. Again, it'll be like a shortbread you can buy at the store, like a pound cake, well, the pound cake rounds, the strawberry shortcake little rounds that you can buy. So press it down a little. I've seen some recipes that if you want it to be just a tad sweeter, get 9, you can put a little bit of sugar on top at this point. I'm just going to go ahead with them the way they are. And again, we'll try them this way. This was actually a recipe that I found that was in a little stapled sheet of a cookbook that my daughter had her name on it. So which one am I going with that? I think that one goes in, that one goes out. There we go. Yeah, I found some sheets of paper stapled together, little cookbook type thing that had her name on it. So I asked her if she remembered it, and she said kind of. She didn't know if it was a Girl Scout thing, or I almost think that from her grade school. In the summertime, sometimes the schools were offering like little summer classes. And I think that she had a baking session in one of those classes, and that's where this came from. So I don't remember if we made this one at home or not. Even some of the other recipes that are in there, they sound familiar, but she may have just made them there. And again, how many, if they made a whole batch, if they only made, you know, enough for one for each of them, because I don't remember her bringing extra food home, but we shall see. Okay, we will wait for that oven to heat up, and then we'll get those inside. Our oven is preheated to 450 degrees, so we will go ahead and bake these for 10 to 12 minutes until they're golden brown on top. I'm going to start with 10 minutes. We will check them then and go from there. While our shortcakes are cooking, we will go ahead and cut our strawberries up and get those all prepared. I went ahead and rinsed them. So now we'll go ahead and cut the tops off and just cut them into slices. So again, there is something you can do called like macerating the strawberries. And that's where if you take some strawberries and cook them on the stove top with some sugar and kind of make like a syrup out of them, you can do that. Again, you're adding sugar to your strawberries and all that if you'd like to do that. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and cut these into these thin slices. And those will be ready to go for our shortcake. I'm going to cut out some of the stem though. Again, I think I've mentioned it or not, it's called macerating. You could macerate your strawberries. So I think I saw proportion wise of about 3 pints of strawberries to about half a cup of sugar. So you just kind of cook that over this on the stove top until the sugar melts. And then let that cool. And then when your shortcakes are cool and you're ready to put them together, you go ahead and pour some of that strawberry syrup-ish stuff on the bottom of your shortcake. And then again, you can put that on top. So you can do that with all the strawberries. You can do like half the strawberries and put those part like on the bottom and then top it with just fresh strawberries. So again, up to you. Again, options depending on how many strawberries you need, how many of these you want to make. If it's just for dessert for your family, if you're doing this for, you know, a party. Beep, beep. Time to check the shortcake. I peeked, they were only slightly brown, so I'm going to go for 2 more minutes on that. And then we'll take them out and we'll see how they're doing. But anyways, where was I at? Talking about your strawberry. You can do all this kind of stuff ahead of time. You can bake the shortcakes ahead of time and then just keep those like stored in a baggie, or you can freeze them. So wrap them individually, put them in your freezer. When you're ready to serve them, take them out, let them get to room temperature. And bigger one. Yeah, you could have them all separate, some separate bowls or whatever all put out so people can make their own. So they could put as many strawberries and as much whipped cream on as they would like. Or again, obviously, if you're just serving them at home for yourself. Yeah, you can do all this. Have the strawberries ready, like I said, and then they have to cool if you are cooking them on the stovetop with the sugar. Again, let that cool before you're assembling. Let's do one more. So same, you can obviously cut your strawberries ahead of time. It's all these type of things. Even if you're going to be eating this later, you can do pre-assembly and keep all the stuff in your fridge until you are ready to go. But I'm just going to go ahead and leave them like this. It is strawberry season, so I am assuming that they are going to be sweet enough. So that's another thing, as I said, depending on how much sugar you want to add. If you are cooking them on the stovetop, same, you may want to add less sugar if your strawberries are already sweet enough. But I'm going to go ahead just with them like they are. Okay, 12 minutes is up. So let's see how they're looking. Oh, beep, beep, yep, 13 minutes. All right. Okay, I'll use another mitt. This would be easy to get out of here with this little lip on my tray. Usually is. Not today. Alright. They don't look totally brown, but they do seem done. They are kind of sliding around on here. Yeah, They were sliding around as I was taking this out. Hold on. Let me do this. So they feel dense, they feel done. So we'll go ahead and let them cool for a little bit. So what we want to try to do is cut them in half and then make our mini little shortcakes. Behind the scenes, besides the fact that I'm sweating. Oh, thought, you know, can't let some of the strawberry go to waste that's on the tops of these. So I'm gonna cut off the strawberries and have this myself, but it won't be pretty enough for a shortcake. Or I could do that for myself, but in any case, I can do that and then We'll see how how sweet these strawberries are. Very good. All right, here we go. Real life. Let's see how these cut. They're just a tad warm. I think they'll still cut fine. So I have my little bread knife thing, bread knife here. So it's got a nice serrated edge. It usually cuts through breads and rolls on that really nicely. So there we go. Well, pretty nice. Only falling apart just a little. But there we go. Came apart pretty nicely. So we'll go ahead and put the bottom on our plate. Fill it with some Cool Whip. This is also brand new. We'll see how well this squirts. Hopefully it won't go all over. I guess let's start in the middle. Oh, and slowly there. Nice. All right. Put a little layer of Cool Whip. And take some of our strawberries. Put those in the middle. These are mini. Oh. So I was hoping the whipped cream would be a little strong enough to be able to hold it. There we go. Use my fingers because that's what I do. I think I'm just going to put a little bit more Cool Whip to help hold my top on. Yeah. As it goes falling out. A little bit more Cool Whip. And you know what? I think I'm going to cut this in half. Put that on top. Oh, even that looks a little big. But there we have it. How cute. Looking like summer. Okay, the little strawberry shortcakes are finished. These came out to be like little mini shortcakes. So that's okay. Her perfect little size, especially if you're having like a big barbecue type thing or potluck and you have lots of other goodies that you want to taste and you want to taste just a little every something. And then you have these mini strawberry shortcakes. That would be perfect. I added some chocolate chips to mine because, you know, chocolate makes everything better. So interestingly enough, as I was cutting these, the shortcake part seemed fairly dense. So I'm thinking this is more like a biscuit. I was reading online that it was being said that biscuits were a little bit more hard, stiff, whereas the shortcake, which would be more like a pound cake, would be more spongy and soft. So again, this was more like a biscuit. This is harder. I also saw some recipes that added butter and okay, now I'm gonna forget. Butter, some added vanilla. I think I said some added sugar. We had sugar in our basic recipe. Oh, of course, now I'm forgetting when I'm ready to film. An egg. That's it. they added butter and egg. So that may make it a little bit more fluffier. Like I said, this was a little stiff. It was good for cutting. It was easy to cut and all that. But I'm thinking now, trying to eat this, it's going to be a little bit stiff to try to just cut it with a fork and I'll try to eat it. And of course, with that whipped cream in there, it's going to smoosh and go all over. So I'm going to try to cut it first before I take a bite. So hold on. Okay. Yeah, that was a little sloppy cutting. Because again, with that whipped cream in there, it just makes everything kind of just spread out and go all over. But let me see if I can try to find a small piece of strawberry and a small piece of biscuit. See how this tastes. Okay. biscuit doesn't seem to have much flavor. So that is more, it's, yeah, more biscuity than it is cakey. So as biscuits go, it tastes like a biscuit. The strawberry is sweet enough, that's good. The whipped cream gives it a little bit of sweetness. But for this recipe, I would suggest putting the sugar on the biscuit part. Or, as I was talking about with some of the recipes talked about doing the strawberry syrup. So if you cook some of the strawberries, and again that's also the sugar, and then they say like to put some of that, more of the syrupy part, like on the bottom of the biscuit or whatever first, and then put some strawberries on and all that. They do talk about how that also makes the bottom part softer, which I can see that would happen here. For me, I kind of thought too, I didn't want to do that because I don't like when my bread is mushy. So I wouldn't think I would like a mushy biscuit. I would prefer it to be a little bit harder. But in this case, again with this recipe, that might add a little bit of taste, make it be just a little bit better. So it's good enough. The strawberries are good. Like I said, they are in season. We just had Strawberry Fest this last weekend. And from what I saw from one of the farmers, well, it's not a farmer market, the farmer stand that you can go to and buy, they even said like the week previous that was their last strawberry picking weekend, that the strawberries were done. So again, this is a good time to make this type of a recipe. Also, the strawberries will be their most sweet, but again, adding sugar obviously will also make them sweet and taste good. It's kind of one of those hints. You want to know why restaurant food tastes so good, especially their fruit and all that? Because they add sugar. I used to work as the what was I, Saturday, the breakfast buffet. I was the breakfast buffet girl. And so I would make scrambled eggs in the back and bacon and do the fruit salad, and in fact we also changed over the breakfast for lunch. So I would make the salads and all that too. But with our fruit, we always had to add like a cup of sugar to our pan. So you know they have those big silver pans, and then they go out and they put them in the buffet type area. They put them in there. Ours was an area, so the buffet type little area, the stand, and it was covered in ice. So we also had an ice machine and all that stuff, so we'd load up buckets of ice, we'd go put it out there, load up the area with ice, and then we either had our metal trays, I think metal was more for the hot stuff. So the scrambled eggs, we had liquid eggs in a carton, we'd pour those on the griddle and cook those up, and then put those in the metal pan, go out there and take that. Same with the bacon. We would, I think we would do that, I don't think the cooks would do that. I thought we would make some bacon too, maybe the cooks did. And then we would take that again, put it in the metal pan, go put it out there in the hot area. Cold area, we kind of had some plasticky bowls or metal bowls, and we would put whatever stuff in there. So like our fruit salads and whatever on stuff go in there, and then go in there, you kind of tuck it in the ice, you know, scoop out a little area, make it so the bowl would fit, and put that in there. And I know everybody used to say, oh, the fruit salad was so good. And it was, because it had a lot of sugar in it. But it worked, made it taste really tasty, and then people ate it, and you know, didn't go bad because it was eaten up. But I find that interesting. Again, little tricks you learn when you work at different businesses and how things go. So in any case, yeah, adding a little bit of sugar would give this just a little bit of extra sweet taste. So again, if the strawberries aren't in season, you're making this any other time, you might want to add just a little extra. Other than that, like I said, a good recipe. This was like from Mandy's little cookbook. She didn't remember, like I said, if it was from Girl Scouts or her grade school. I'm thinking her grade school. There were maybe 10 recipes in there or something. So I'm going to make a couple of those. And again, another one of those, I can make my recipes and then I'll have them online, and then I can get rid of the pieces of paper. Slowly but surely, going through that. Although I have all these cookbooks too that I'm like, well, I want to keep my cookbooks. I have a couple from Alton Brown. I have one of them that's signed by him. So there are things like that, some of those type of books that I want to keep, or so things that, yeah, I still will have. But in any case, I'm going to go finish my little dessert here. I will leave this recipe down below. Let me know if you guys like to eat strawberry shortcake, or what's your favorite kind of summer dessert. And keep it positive. Go make it a great day. Bye-bye.